Hi class, my name is Ben and I'm on Team Tuberculosis. I'd like to start our video out with a story of a guy named Imla. This is a true story about him contracting TB and the experience that he went through and how he was able to get through it with the help of divine intervention. As a fitness trainer and having an interest in alternative therapies, Imla was probably more focused on the mind and body than most people. But that all changed in 2005 when in just 8 months he went from cycling 20 miles a day to walking with a stick. Looking back, he says the mental challenge of his illness was equally exhausting. The first thing I noticed was feeling tired. I was going to the gym every day, but it was making me weaker. It wasn't making any sense. When I first went to the doctors, they treated me for the flu, but I just kept getting more tired. By my third visit, I couldn't ride a bike on the flat road without getting exhausted. There was too much confusion. I could see my body was shutting down, but nobody could tell me what was wrong with me. And when I tried to tell people I was sick, I didn't know what to say. I started to think it was all in my head. It was only when they opened me up and took out some of my lymph node that they discovered that it wasn't cancer. However, when I came around the next day, the doctor said, "You have TB." I was put on 22 antibiotics a day. There was relief, though, knowing what I had was curable and that I wasn't going to immediately die, but there were concerns about how to treat it. Not knowing what was wrong with me was the hardest part. You can't help but question whether it is all in your head. Looking back, it was a physical and psychological battle that I had to fight. It's the thing of not knowing, and if you don't know, then you can't accept it, and you can't fight it. Knowing what you are fighting is half the battle. I was lucky because I'm really into the spiritual side of life, so I really submerged myself in it. That was what kept me going. I think you need to find something to keep you going because it can sometimes feel too easy to quit. I liked Imla's story there, and it kind of gives you an idea of the impact that this disease can have on your life and on your body physically. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into a brief history of tuberculosis. Tuberculosis was first discovered by Robert Koch in 1882. The bacterium is also known as Koch's bacillus. Koch ended up winning a Nobel Prize for his findings. He discovered the causative agent of tuberculosis as well as for cholera and anthrax around the same time. At the time, it was widely believed that tuberculosis was an inherited disease. However, Koch was convinced that disease was caused by a bacterium and it was infectious, and he made it his mission to uncover this mystery. This disease also dates back to ancient Egypt, where traces have been found in the spines of these mummies. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the etiology as well as the physical characteristics of this bacterium. The causative agent of tuberculosis is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It belongs to the genus Mycobacterium. It is an acid-fast bacteria. So from a traditional gram stain test, Mycobacterium tuberculosis will sometimes show up as a gram-positive, but it is false. It is a bacillus bacteria. It is non-motile. It is rod-shaped, as are characteristic of the bacillus bacteria, and it does not form spores. Next, I will talk about the reservoir. As of right now, we know that humans are the only host to this bacterium. Mycobacterium tuberculosis is a disease of the lungs. It thrives in areas of the body that have lots of blood and oxygen. And the bacterium is mainly found in the upper air sacs of the lungs, and we call that pulmonary TB. This disease can also spread to other parts of the body, which we refer to as extrapulmonary TB. I just wanted to end my segment here with a few interesting tidbits regarding tuberculosis. There's a few famous people we may know that have suffered with this disease. John Keats from the Romantic era, he's a great poet. Washington Irving, also an American author of the 19th century. George Orwell, author of my favorite book, the dystopian novel 1984. Nelson Mandela, we know, as a former president of South Africa, as well as a revolutionary. And Eleanor Roosevelt, the late wife of Franklin D. Roosevelt. Also, another interesting thing about tuberculosis is it is the leading cause of death for those living with the HIV virus. This is because the HIV virus weakens the immune system, and so it doesn't allow the body to fight off the TB infection.